Let me show you a step-by-step of a clinical case of mine. Okay, so here's a lower molar from sort of beginning the before and the after. And so let's start off with the sealer placement. Okay, so canals you're fully instrumented, irrigated, dried the canals, you're good now to obturate. Let's first paint the canals, just a little bit of sealer. Again, how much sealer? Less than what you think. Now, at this point when you're putting in your sealer, if you're new to using the GuttaCore system, this is a nice little point to sort of mentally start thinking about, okay, now imagine this as being my GuttaCore. Okay, so in your mind, this is almost like a rehearsal for placing the GuttaCore inside the canals. Remember, you're going to put in a paper point, just brush the walls gently with very little sealer. You're not touching the walls of the endo axis. That's all you need to do when it comes to obturating. So you got a little bit of sealer to act as a lubricant. Now we're going to put our carrier-based obturation, the GuttaCore, in the oven. It takes about 15 seconds or so. So it's not that long, just enough time to maybe just for you to make sure clinically that everything's in order around you, you got what you need around the patient. And when the light on the top right side will start to blink, that little circle over there, then it means good, we're ready, it's warm enough, and now we're going to take out the obturator and grab it with the cotton plier, and I'm actually looking at the marker on there, the built-in ruler. That's where I know where to break it off. That's not just an arbitrary me breaking this off. And you see the speed within which I take the obturator from the tooth, from the oven to the tooth. So just a nice flow within several seconds, put it in the tooth, and you see the speed that I'm putting it inside the canal. So I'm counting to about 7,000, 8,000 sort of seconds, and we're done, and that's it. So once it comes out of the oven, you grab the obturator, carry it over to the tooth, and on you go. It's not as if you have to be rushed, but at the same time, don't start spending half a minute and fiddling around with the obturator, because it will cool off. But it's simpler than you think. You don't have to get nervous. It's a paper point. It's just a really beautifully engineered paper point made out of really nice gutta percha. Okay? So that's consistent from the oven over to the tooth. I'm going to show you again this thing later on in the webinar. Now, in this case, imagine I want to obturate, or you want to obturate this mesial root. The reason why I want to show this particular tooth is because you can see how the mesial canals, they merge apically. So you wonder, okay, how is this going to obturate one canal when the other canal is joining it? So what I want you to note is there's a paper point in the bottom canal. So it's the mesiobuccal canal here, and you see that the other mesial canal doesn't have a paper point in it. As I put in the gutta percha in the canal, I want you to look at the paper point. I want you to see what happens to that paper point. It actually comes up all of a sudden. And the reason for that is because as it fills the one mesial canal which joins the other, instead of extruding apically, if you have a good apical stop, you obturate the one mesial canal, it'll already start to backfill the other mesial canal, and that's why the paper point is going to actually rise up. So let me show you this thing. So here I am. I've got my warm GuttaCore that's just about to come out of the oven. Cotton pliers, never use your fingers. You never use your fingers to carry paper points, right? So why would you ever do that with a carrier-based obturation system? So here I am with the GuttaCore, broke off the handle. Watch the paper point as I'm obturating one of the mesial canals. So see, as I obturate one, all of a sudden the paper point comes out of the other one. Beautiful. I love seeing this. Okay? That's how nicely this fills all little nooks and voids and all that, and it starts to backfill the other canal. Take out the paper point, great, we can go in there and obturate the other one. Notice as I'm zooming in with the microscope into that unobturated canal or partially obturated canal, you can actually look inside. You see that little white area? That's the obturation already filling the second canal. Okay? So imagine both canals are 20 millimeters length individually. Well, we've obturated one to 20 millimeters, and let's say it backfilled the other one to about 5 millimeters or so. But you may not know this, and you'd wonder, well, what happens now? So now I'm worried if it's not 20 millimeters anymore, and I'm going to put my GuttaCore to 20 millimeters, am I going to extrude stuff out the apex? One of the beauties, additionally, with the system is that will not happen, because let's say now that second canal is partially filled, as you see over here, and instead of being 20 millimeters long, let's say it's 15 millimeters long. Well, what happens, because now you're obturating with GuttaCore, which is all gutta percha, it is all warm. What happens is, as you're obturating the canal, you have no idea how far it should go or where it'll stop. Once it meets resistance, let's say in this case at 5 millimeters, once it meets that resistance apically, then it flows coronally. That's it. It's all warm. It's not as if it's a plastic-based carrier system where no matter what, you're going to shove that thing in there to fit the 20 millimeters. Now, you'd be more likely to push stuff out the apex. Or if you're using a down pack technique where you have your pre-fitted metal plugger, whether it's night tie or stainless steel, you're going to pre-fit that thing to about 4 or 5 millimeters of the working length, and that's where, again, you're more likely to actually push stuff out the apex, because you're going to shove that thing in there even if it shouldn't be obturated to that length. So, as almost like a safety feature, if that second canal is already partially obturated, don't worry, you don't even have to know if it is or it isn't. Just obturate it to where it'll go. Once the GuttaCore reaches that resistance, it'll backfill because it's all soft. So it's a really, really nice system. And I love highlighting here how the paper point just comes out coronally. So we've obturated that canal. You saw how quick that was to obturate the canal. Again, no gimmicks. This is beautifully simple. So how to remove the GuttaCore carrier that's now in the pulp chamber? This is how you do it. It's very simple. Spoon excavator, sharp spoon excavator. So you're going to go in there with an apical into the orifice, apical lateral pressure. It's going to sort of snap off there. So you need a sharp spoon excavator. If it's not that sharp, then it may not work that easily. But I don't recommend using a hot instrument. I don't recommend using a high-speed burr or anything like that. Just sharp spoon excavator. Some people I know would heat up the instrument if they want. I don't, because at this point I want to let the GuttaPercha, the excess GuttaPercha, just cool off. To cool it off, either just let it cool off as you see right here in the video, or you can blow some air from your air syringe if you wish. But you'll notice now how in real time it's cooled off enough where I can just flake that thing off. Really, really simple, nothing fancy. And then after that, for even sort of more fine removal of the GuttaCore, I like to use a large round slow speed burr. Very, very gentle sort of polishing of the floor. I'm not here to remove dentin by any means. But you'll see in a moment how I just used that large round burr with the slow speed just to sort of flake off anything that's excess on there. So use whatever system you want. I'm not forcing you to use one system or another, but this is what's really worked very nicely for me. So here with a slow speed burr, I'm just barely brushing the floor. Really, really simple. And in the end, this is what we get. So you see on the bottom left image there, nice clean floor. That is obturation with GuttaPercha. That's it. It's not sealer with a tiny little GuttaPercha. It is GuttaPercha obturation in 3 dimensions. Look how nice, clean, and simple that is. And again, no gimmicks. We just did a molar. And that's with me telling you all the step by step. Imagine you could just fly right through it.